guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Shaquan and I am the trading educator here at SLFX Trading. You guys just saw me make my cup of tea because I am going to need this in order to speak to you guys about a few Forex basics that we're going to be getting into in this video. We're going to be talking about a few basics of Forex. So I'm gonna fast track you guys through the basics of Forex. Now, yesterday I was on Instagram and I did a 30-minute class on the Forex basics, but you know, with technology, for some reason Instagram glitched as I was gonna save the video to my IGTV. So I said, you know what, let me just come back here. I'll go ahead and do a video on YouTube over the Forex basics, kind of going over what I talked about in yesterday's Instagram. And make sure you guys are following me on Instagram too. That way when I go live and I host free classes, you guys can be there as well. So I said, let me just go ahead and do this YouTube video and just talk about the same information. And that way it's a win-win situation. I get to re-upload it to IGTV, but you guys get it here too. And that's exactly what we're going to be going over. So some of you guys who are here looking at me, you may be new to Forex. Some of you guys have heard of people trading Forex. You're still trying to get a connection to what Forex is. Maybe you've seen people making money. Maybe you're already in the group, but you're still not getting a really good understanding. And that is why I'm doing this video today, to kind of fast track you through some good information. Now, on a weekly basis, I talk to so many traders who feel like once they've come into the market, they start to demo trade. Some even start with live trading and they feel like, well, Shaquan, I've been doing this for quite some time, but I still feel like I'm not getting the help that I need. I'm not consistently profitable. I don't have just that 1 to 2 strategies or techniques that I can stick to. I feel like I'm over the place in my time frames. I'm here to tell you guys that Forex is really a big market to cover. I mean, you have to go from pips to exchange rates to entering trades to where to exit trades, and it's so much more dealing with time frames and scheduling the trades and journaling your trades. There's a lot to cover. And so, you know, some people who are being taught, they feel like they're not being taught a lot of information that they need or that they deserve, and the information that they have is so overwhelming that they don't have a good starting point. And then some people feel like they're not being taught enough to the point where that starting point that they have just doesn't seem to be covering how they want to grow. And that is why I want to teach you guys a few Forex basics, because the basics I've learned that a lot of people skimp over to get to the meat of how to trade, which is how to enter and exit a trade. But you know what's missing with the meat is the connection to what it is that you're actually trading. So that's what we're going to get into. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I want you guys to think about where you're from as an individual. What country are you from? I live here in the United States, and I'd like you guys to comment below where you're from and how long have you been trading, because this is going to matter. Now think about where you're from and think about where you work, or how are you making money at this current moment. Now I want you to think about the money that you have, the money that you're making, and how are you spending it, and what are you spending your money on. We know that the things that we purchase are called goods and services. Think of goods as the products, and then think of services as a place that you go to have something done for you, which could be your hair, the oil on your car being changed, and the product would be the products that's being used on your hair, or the tools that's being used on your vehicle, or even the vehicle itself is a product because you purchased it to drive. You had to spend money to drive it, and then you go get it serviced, you go get it detailed. Even with your hair, even though it grows out of your head, you can go to a store and buy products for it, or you can go to someone and they can give you a service, which is, you know, you getting your hair done. Now, they involve an exchange, an interaction. It's your currencies. And so now that information can be documented, and that information is documented by a receipt for the transactions. And that is why receipts are so important, because that information is being documented, which we here in the Forex market know as fundamental analysis. And what fundamental analysis does is it documents every transaction that has been made through the the exchange of currency to purchase goods and services, and that information we trade on our price charts, right? So that is why it's a really good to have a connection, because you're kind of trading yourself in a sense. Now, with that being said, think about it this way. Why is currency important? Money equals power. And what we're doing is we're saying, well, how powerful is my country's currency over another country's currency? What is the health of my country against someone else's country? And that is why I want you guys to think about where you are and where someone else may live, because they may live in a different country whose economical data is very different than yours, and you're trading that information. I want you to think about your country's currency and what the name for it is. Mine is USD, which stands for the United States dollar. Now, I am going to use an example of the Canadian dollar, which symbol is CAD, which once again stands for the Canadian dollar. And if I put my currency against the Canadian dollar, who has the strongest currency is the question. So let's say, for example, when we're using United States dollar versus the Canadian dollar, let's just say that the person who lives in Canada wanted to buy one of my dollars. Well, what we're going to do is we will have to go to the price chart, and I like to use the daily time frame for this information, because what banks do is they take information from a daily time frame, because the daily time frame closes every 24 hours. If you've ever gone to a bank to exchange your currency for another, they give you one rate that is called a conversion rate. We can see that rate on our price charts. And so what they're going to do is say, hey, this one rate will exchange your currency for this one rate every 24 hours. So let's go ahead and jump into the price chart so you guys can see exactly what I mean here. So let's spend some time on this price chart as we're looking at it. Okay, so we have the United States dollar versus the Canadian dollar. Now, what I really encourage you to do so you can get a better feeling and a better connection with this currency pair, I highly encourage you to just go and look up the way the United States dollar looks if you don't live in the United States, and what the Canadian dollar looks like if you don't live in Canada. One of the reasons why this is important is because how do you know what you're making money on if you don't even know the way it looks? So that's a really good tip that I can give you right now. Now, what you want to do is think about the United States dollar as its own currency, because it is, and the Canadian dollar as its own currency. And what we're going to do is name this. So if someone asks you what's the United States dollar versus the Canadian dollar, we're going to explain it this way. You have the United States dollar in your left hand, and this is called your base currency, which means it's the first currency within a currency pair. The word pair means two. Base means first. And then you have the quote currency, which is the second currency of the currency pair. So it looks like this: your base versus your quote. And this is for any currency pair. It works the same. The base always equals the number 1, and the quote always equals the exchange rate. So let's look at how this looks on the price chart. Now, what we're gonna do is look at the United States dollar as $1. And then we're gonna go over here to the price scale. Now, there are numbers on my price scale located on the right hand side of my price chart. And if you guys can see in the top right hand corner, do you see CAD? That stands for the Canadian dollar. And all of these rates equals how much it will cost someone and all of these rates equals how much it will cost someone who lives in Canada to purchase $1. So where price is trading at the current moment as I am making this video is around $1.20468, and that number is going to change until the daily time frame closes at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then that is the final rate of the day. So let's just go back one day and see where price closed at on this green candle. Now keep in mind that when your new price moves in red candles and green candles. Red candles are also known as your sell candles and are called bearish candles. Think of a bear as crawling low on the ground, and understand that it goes down. So red candles close at the bottom. And think of your green candles as the buying candle or a bull's candle. We call that the bullish candle. And think of bulls like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan could jump high. Like if you're into basketball, you know who Michael Jordan is. And just think of the Bulls as the basketball team, and they jump high. Green candles close at the top, red candles close at the bottom. And so yesterday, when price closed at this green candle, it closed at the price around, I'm going to try to get as close as I can. We're going to round it to $1.2705. And here's what this meant for yesterday. This means that at this final rate of the day, if anyone who lives in Canada wanted to buy one of my dollars, they're going to buy it for $1.2705. Now, this is how we know if my dollar is stronger than their dollar or weaker than their dollar. How much more or less are they purchasing my currency for theirs? At this rate, they're purchasing my $1 for over 20 cents of theirs. So that means that they're paying more to get less of my dollar, which means that my currency is stronger. Now, let's just say that they purchased my currency for 90 cents of their Canadian dollar. That means they're purchasing my currency 10 cents cheaper to get more of my currency, which means that their currency would be worth more. Now, we don't control whose currency is stronger or weaker. That goes back to the data. Does my currency have more spending power than theirs because my country is flourishing more? Or does their country have better purchasing power because their country is doing better and flourishing more? That's the question. And we exchange the values of the exchange rate. How much it costs them, the quote, to buy one of my base, my currency. That's for any currency that you trade. I want you to go back and think about your country's name and try to see how many of the countries you can name off the top of your head. And remember that as many as you can name, there are many, many more. And we can go ahead and name a popular few. We have the euro for European euro. We have the Aussie dollar for the Australian dollar. We have the Swiss franc for Switzerland. We even have the African rand for the ZAR. I mean, there are so many countries' currencies that we can trade as long as the broker allows us to trade it. But what's most important is if you can just sit and think, well, how does this currency compare to mine? Or how is this country doing over there compared to mine or compared to another? And can I trade their currencies together for profit? Because that's actually what we do as Forex traders. We're looking at that price scale to see where price is, and we're valuing if their exchange rate for the quote, we're valuing if the exchange rate is going to go up or going to go down in order to purchase one of the base currency. That's all we're actually doing. And to do that, you have to know how to read the price chart. Now, keep in mind, you're not trying to read every individual candle, but a group of candles. And so what I like to do is use Tradingview.com to view my price charts, as you guys saw. Because when using Tradingview, I can demo trade without the need of a broker. I can analyze any currency pair that I see fit, and I can customize that price chart to my liking. The color of the candles, the color of the background. I can have shortcuts. I can only look at so many time frames that I want to. I can look at multiple chart layouts, so I don't have to use too many computers, and I can live trade using my personal broker that Tradingview is partnered with. So it's like an all-in-one platform. So if you guys would like to use Tradingview or give it a try, I have a link down below where you guys can sign up for free. Now for best practices, I'm going to give you guys an assignment to do for yourself in order to get a really good feel for the price charts that you're trading. I'm going to give you guys another example using another currency pair and how to call it out by its right name, even the exchange rate. So let's talk deeper about the exchange rate. The exchange rate is what you're buying one currency for another, or what you're converting the quote currency into the base currency. That's why I showed you guys the price scale, because all of those prices are called exchange rates. You're exchanging the quote currency for the base currency. And I know I'm repeating myself, but in this market, the more you repeat yourself, the more things become habit and the more disciplined you become. So let's look at a pair like USD JPY. So this is my USD JPY chart. And now this chart, if you look at it, the base currency is the United States dollar and the Japanese yen is the quote currency. And what I would like you guys to do is research how the Japanese yen looks so you can connect with what it is that you're trading. And if you look on my price scale over here on the right hand side, you'll see that we have JPY up here, which means we're looking at the Japanese yen currency. And price right now is trading around 109.616 yen. Notice how I didn't say dollar, because I am looking at the Japanese yen currency. So you have to respect the currency's name and the correct name for the exchange rate. Notice how there are 3 numbers after the decimals, where when we looked at United States dollar CAD, there were 5 numbers after the decimal. So sometimes every currency is going to look different based on the location of the quote currency. So in order to get good at the base versus the quote currency and understanding how to actually speak it or how to say it or understand what the base is, how it's equal to number 1, and getting to know the exchange rate, it's really good to start back testing this information. And all that means is taking this information, heading over to the price charts and practicing this information out loud. And here's a really great way that you can do this. Go to at least I would say pick 5 currency pairs. And as you're picking these 5 currency pairs, what I highly encourage you to do is look at the last 5 candle closures on the daily time frame. That way you don't have too many time frames that you're worried about or too many candles. And look at where the price closed or the candle closed and look at that price. Remember that the red candles close at the bottom and the green candles close at the top. And what you want to do is you want to speak the number out loud, wherever exchange rate it is, and say that at this time, if I wanted to exchange the quote currency, which is, this would have allowed me to purchase the base currency, which is for $1 or €1 or $1 Australian. So give it power and give it name. Now, once again, understand that the more you do this, the better you get comfortable with calling out the exchange rates and calling out the prices. But this is going to help make you a better trader at the end of the day. And you guys, that's really much about it for the Forex basics. And there are so many other basics that we are going to get into, but this is the starting foundation to connecting to what you're doing in the Forex market. We'll dig deeper as time goes on. Now remember to join me on Instagram, because Instagram will get the free classes first as we dig deeper and keep progressing. And if there's anything much more that you guys would like to learn from me throughout this series of Forex basics, make sure you guys comment below or even send me an email. My email is down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you found value, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And if you really like this and you like the growth of the channel and you feel like it's helping you grow, be sure to subscribe. And I will talk to you guys in the next video or on Instagram. You guys be blessed.